Hey, I'm Amy from Dallas and Amy, and today I want to tell you about my experience with the Varla Pegasus electric scooter. So we've had the scooter for a couple of months now, and I've put about 200 miles on it, so I have a much better idea of what it's really like, what are the pros and the cons. Varla did send us the Pegasus in exchange for our honest review, so I will tell you what I really think of it after having some good mileage on it, both on the street and a little bit of dirt, and also just kind of riding around the city like you would if you were really using the Pegasus to commute, which is one of the recommended uses. So one of the things I love about the Pegasus is that it's really fast. It can go, according to the website, 28 miles an hour. I've gotten it to 30 miles an hour, and getting to that speed is actually really easy. It feels smooth. It's not jerky like some of the cheaper scooters, and it gets you up to speed quickly. So if you're like merging into traffic, you don't feel like you're gonna die like I did when I had a Honda Civic. It's not as scary as you would think, given that how fast the acceleration is and how smooth it is. Another cool thing about the Pegasus is that it has a really long range. So the range is said to be about 28 miles. If you listen to other reviewers, they'll tell you it's anywhere from like 12 miles to 30 miles. So there's a huge range here. It really depends on how you ride it, what mode you're in, if you're going up hills, how heavy you are. There's a million different things that I could tell you, but I will tell you that the range is posted on the website, 28 miles, and I haven't had any issues with the range at all. I actually think it's more than I need personally, but if I was using the Pegasus to commute, I'd be really happy with the range. One thing about the Pegasus is that it actually looks pretty professional for an electric scooter. It looks very adult and not kiddish. I think a lot of people are worried that, if they were to actually use this to commute, they would be like, oh, frowned upon because it's an electric scooter, but it actually looks really nice and sleek. It doesn't look like a kid's scooter. It looks professional, and I would not be ashamed to bring it into my office job. I think people would actually be pretty curious about it, and I think I would become more popular if I let people ride my scooter. The Pegasus has a silicone deck, and it's really grippy. I really like this instead of having grip tape. Of course, you can't change it out, but it is nice looking, and it's not as abrasive. So with grip tape, sometimes if you throw a skateboard with grip tape on your car, it might pull the fibers of your car seat. The silicone deck is just really nice. I think it's, one of the better decks I've been on, and it does feel pretty grippy. Like, I don't feel like I'm gonna fall off, which is obviously ideal. Another thing about the Pegasus is that it has palm rests. So I have pretty big palms, but small hands, weird combination. And after you're riding for a while, you get kind of tired of holding your palms up. I know it sounds really lazy, but if you ride a scooter, you know what I mean. It's really nice that the palm rests are on the Pegasus because it actually gives you a place to kind of put your hand, and when you're holding the throttle, you can put your palm there so you're resting it a bit and you don't have to hold it up awkwardly for too long of a time. On the topic of the throttle, so the Pegasus has a thumb throttle, which is my preference over, a twist throttle. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the thumb throttle. I definitely prefer it over, twist throttles. So the Varla Pegasus is marketed as a commuter scooter, and it is. It's not made for off-road dirt. They do have a Varla for that. It is called the Varla Eagle 1. We also have that. But for the Varla Pegasus, one thing I really like about it is that while it's not made for off-road, you can take it in some dirt. I've ridden it over cobblestones. It's bumpy, but you can do it. You can actually get over cobblestones, no problem. You can bump over speed bumps, no problem, just go slow. It really can take a good amount of terrain, dirt, different things that you'll encounter in the road if you're driving around the city. You want to be able to go over those, and those tires make sure that you can go over those. So I feel pretty confident when it comes to the Pegasus and actually getting over little obstacles, because even if you just ride around in a city, there's going to be things on the ground, there's random bumps, and depending on how well your city takes care of the streets, you might be really happy to hear that it is very durable when it comes to going over any sort of road hazards. The Pegasus is also much better than a scooter that doesn't have pneumatic tires. It does have the solid tires, which means you won't get any flats, but having those tires really makes you feel pretty confident on the road. and I don't feel like I'm gonna, you know, fly over the handlebars or fall off if I hit a little tiny bump, which happens all the time. So I've told you the good things about the Varla Pegasus, and now we're gonna head to the keeping it real section where I tell you what I really think, what are the cons of the Varla Pegasus now that I've been on it for about 200 miles. So the first one is the deck hook. In my initial video, I mentioned that the deck hook was really cool because you can hook the stem to it. So when it folds down, you can just hook it on here. So when you're carrying it, you can actually, you know, carry it around like this. Well, the first time I actually tried to do this, it broke. Varla does include an extra one for you, but I don't think it's really made to be carried around like that. So, you know, my suggestion to Varla in the future would be maybe put a stronger like D-ring on there so it can be held that way. But I think for now, you know, that's just something to be aware of, is like you can't carry it around like this like I thought. So these next two cons are kind of a pro and a con. The stem clasp, basically the thing that holds the stem up, there's a little Velcro strap, and then there's also the clasp that you undo so you can fold the scooter down. It's really hard to undo. So I have mixed feelings about this because obviously I don't want it to just come undone while I'm riding because I will fall off. But at the same time, when I am folding it and, you know, trying to get it undone and like trying to put it back into the car, it's hard. You know, I have a hard time. Maybe I just have weak hands or something, but I think it's a little bit hard to do that. I do think maybe it might be adjustable, so that's definitely something I need to look into for the future, but for now I might just need to get one of those little hand grippy things to make my hand stronger so I can undo the clasp a little bit easier. So my last comment is both a pro and a con. So the Varla Pegasus does come with a steering dampener. So that's meant to create internal resistance so your stem's not like shaking all over the place. And what this also means is that it's harder to make sharp turns. So if you're a person that is planning on, you know, just kind of commuting through the city and you'll be able to turn as you need, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. You might not even notice, but I do think that it's something to note because it may be something that you are bothered by if you want to do like a lot of turning or quick turns. The steering dampener might slow you down a little bit when it comes to making sharp turns. On the flip side of the steering dampener, it feels way more stable when you're riding at high speeds, like over 20 miles an hour, because of the dampener. Because obviously the faster you go, the more the stem is going to shake. So once you hit 20 on like a bird scooter, if you can even get it that fast, you feel like you might die. And on the Pegasus, it doesn't feel like that at all. I feel pretty stable, and I think that's great at higher speeds, which, you know, I have been riding at. I've been riding between 20 and 25 probably. And when I'm doing that, I'm really happy to have the steering dampener. But when I'm trying to make a quick turn, I wish I didn't have it. So, you know, grass is always greener on the other side. On the note of the steering dampener, having it be more stiff means it's not as maneuverable at slower speeds, but at higher speeds, you are really happy to have that stability. So I do think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Feeling stable when you're going at high speeds on a scooter is definitely a plus. So maybe this doesn't really belong in the con section, but I don't know. You can decide if it's a pro or a con. That's how I feel about the Varla Pegasus. Overall, I do think it's a great electric scooter. I've got about 200 miles on it and I want to keep riding. You know, that's kind of the test, is like, do you actually want to get back on this thing? And I do. I think it's great that it's, you know, kind of more on the lightweight side of electric scooters, but it still has solid tires, a great deck, you know, goes fast, long range. I think there's definitely more pros than cons. The cons being pretty insignificant, like the deck loop. Like, yeah, I did wish that it would hook on there and you could hold it that way, but it's really not a big deal. I really don't think it's worth even mentioning, but I wanted to mention it so you can make an informed decision on whether you want to buy it or not. If you do want to buy a Varla Pegasus, please use the link in the description below. It won't cost you anything extra and it does help support our channel. If this video was helpful for you, please give us a like, a subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave us a comment. We'll do our best to answer questions, and we'll see you next time.